Hey everybody, thanks for playing World of Tanks, and thanks for taking a look at this World of Tanks video. Nothing special here, no major stats or awards. I'm going to work on trying to kind of discuss how to navigate the match here, navigate the terrain, all that the map has to offer, and all of the different deployments and circumstances of the match have to offer, how to navigate that. You see me kind of heading up to the right there at first, and then I'm zagging back to the left. What I'm doing here is making sure that I don't get too far away from my enemy, or rather my allies. Even at the beginning of the match here, I want to make sure that as I'm moving forward, I've got some enemy, or rather some ally support, kind of no matter where I'm at and which way I'm going. I am deciding here at this point, I do want to kind of generally go toward this right part of the map. You see me get spotted up, get targeted, I go over this ridge here for cover. I think generally thinking this area of the map is where I want to be with this vehicle. I'm not top tier, I'm 7, there are 8s. And given kind of what this vehicle can do and what the terrain has to offer throughout the map, given our starting point, I think this is generally the side for me. You see me looking here, just kind of staying back, making sure that I have a way to keep dirt, keep ground, keep those ridge lines, those hills between me and my enemies as I look for shots. Try to keep an eye out using that square mini-map there. Try to keep an eye out for any of the vehicles that might have shots on me given their positions. Kind of again using my, not only that mini-map, but also kind of looking around from tank to tank, enemy tank to enemy tank, seeing who might have a shot on me and also who I might have a shot on in a safe way. I don't want to necessarily have a shot on an enemy if I'm going to be getting shot at myself, or if any enemy vehicles seem to have good shots on me for sure. This is early. I don't want to give up any hit points if I don't need to, and more or less I don't really need to. Okay, so I've slowed us way down here. I want to kind of do my best to give some heads up of what I'm seeing, and then how I'm choosing to act based on what I'm seeing. So right here, there's nothing really that has a shot on me. I see my ally up here kind of on this hill just taking shots that he's not really needing to. So I'm like, dude, get back. Please, for the sake of your hit points, for the sake of our team doing well, we can use you. Don't just sit there and take those shots. So ask him to fall back. I see they have, what, 2 heavies in that middle trench pushing up, and a medium there. We have like a heavy and a light right on them. They've got numbers there. I wouldn't really expect our guys to come away from that. We do have some guys pushing way up into that being northeast corner, and I think that they kind of have numbers up there overall. At the very least, those guys up there on their side are ultimately going to have more support. And even if I'm wrong in that, I do expect there to be a lot of enemy vehicles kind of along that ridge of rocks and trees, kind of defending their spawn from, let's say, D3 up to like C6. I would expect, and I think that we've even seen some, but I would expect them to have, 2 to 4 vehicles along that ridge, and then at least a couple vehicles, say a destroyer, maybe an artillery piece back up there in their spawn. So any of our vehicles, let's say we take out this heavy, this light, and this medium that they've got up in the corner down low in this basin. Let's say we take those guys out here in the next couple of minutes. The rest of the map, it looks like it's at least even. If anything, I'd say they're probably looking a little bit strong here. And so let's say whatever 2, 3, 4 of us clear out their guys around B8 there, clear their guys out there, and then push up into the enemy spawn. All of those guys that are basically on that defensive ridge they've got, and all the guys back up in their spawn area that they've got, as well as say those guys like at F4, E4 on their team in that little trench area, those guys could easily come back into their base and defend their base. So any of us that would push up into the enemy spawn at this point would separate ourselves from our allies down south. And we have a pretty good number of allies down south. We want to make sure that we keep that advantage as much as we can. So here I'm thinking, I'm kind of pushing forward, kind of taking a look to see what might be available. Maybe get a shot or 2 here. Probably more like 1 is kind of what I'm thinking. Get a shot if I can, if there's anything that shows itself to me. Get a real quick shot here, and then back down, kind of to where I'm at. You know, I'm in this little covered position where no enemy has a shot on me. I've got ground, I've got dirt between me and my enemies here. I'm gonna peek up here to see if anything presents itself, any shots present themselves. Take a quick shot, back down, and then go back toward my own spawn to kind of help my guys down south. The reason why going back down south and helping my guys out down there is so important is because if you give up your own capture point to the enemy, you're giving up a really easy, obvious way for the enemy team to defeat you. You know, for those who care about stuff like win rate or whatever, win percentages, it's relevant. For those who care about stuff like silver earnings, XP earnings, crew XP earnings, different ops or different, say, the mercenary contracts that maybe depend on winning matches, that stuff all comes into play. It's almost never preferable just to lose a match, right? And also, to the extent that you have vehicles on your team that are living, okay, kind of speeding up the video here a little bit, but to the extent that you have vehicles living, to the extent that the match isn't over with, to the extent that the enemy team has not won the match, there's always an opportunity for stuff like getting more shots off, dealing more damage to enemy vehicles, getting more kills, stuff like that. So to the extent that your focus is on stuff like those kinds of stats, spotting damage, dealing damage, to the extent that that's what you're wanting to do, to the extent that that's what you're after, protecting your base is a really valid part of that. It ensures that the enemy team has not ended the match through capping out on you, extending that time, that opportunity for you to take shots, deal damage, get spotting damage, and also to the extent that you have allies who are still alive, you're in a better position to deal damage of your own, or perhaps get spotting assist damage. The match becomes really hard when your allies are dead. They're not spotting the enemies up for you to deal damage. You're not spotting enemies up for them to deal damage. So having allies, supporting allies is all very important. Whether you're interested in stuff like winning and XP and silver, or whether you're interested in stuff like marks of excellence on your barrel through damage dealt and spotting assist damage. Not losing the match, as far as I'm concerned, is always a part of that. Okay, I'm speeding time back up to normal rates here. Just kind of talked a lot about value of not losing different ways. Here I'm trying to get some shots in. Again, I'm not really fond of this vehicle, or especially this gun on this vehicle. Also, I've got a really limited level crew here. We lose our guys down there, except for me and this destroyer here next to me, and that light tank kind of keeping an eye on things for us. The problem that I'm going to come up here is this light tank is on the enemy team is going to become unspotted. This destroyer next, if the destroyer were to kind of curl back toward our right in his reversal here, I think that he could ultimately do a better job of putting dirt, putting ground, putting earth between himself, between his vehicle, all parts of his vehicle, and any enemy guns out there. As you're going to find out here shortly, he doesn't actually manage to do that. He's here again. You can kind of see if he'd kind of come back this direction, back behind that hill toward this little rock here, he might have been able to preserve his vehicle. So clearly he doesn't manage to do that. At this point, again, like I said, that light tank is becoming unspotted. And so at this point I don't know where he's at, and he's going to outspot me. He's going to win that spotting match. You see there an ally's clicking my position on the enemy capture point, basically indicating to me that, like, that's going to be the best place for me to go in order to help my team. I can't outspot that light tank, and that light tank, is going to sit there and take shots at me, and I won't be able to see him, or at least I'll have a really hard time managing to see him without just kind of standing there getting shot up. And I know that he has at least that one heavy really close nearby. I think there's another heavy back in there too, at least. Maybe others that I'm not seeing. Maybe another light tank, maybe whatever. It's easier to sort of go back in time in these recordings and see what was back there than it is in real time playing these matches. I don't really recall what's back there. It's a main difference between the console version of the game, the PC version of the game. PC version of the game gives you the last known locations of enemy positions in kind of a ghost form. Console, we don't get that. I think this guy's right. I think generally speaking it's best for me to move north here. As you can see, I'm staying low, keeping earth between me, the enemy vehicles, keeping cover between me and the enemy vehicles, so that light tank isn't even able to spot me here at this relatively close range, because I'm down low. Anyway, I think that it's generally best to for me to move back toward my allies. I think that's generally best in any match for any player, to maintain the support of the allies and also provide your support to your allies. Now here I probably could have come up out of this ditch area earlier to have some shots at this bat chat, maybe help out that medium right there, the Trinity. I wasn't for sure what that light tank was going to do. As far as I could have predicted, he could have been coming more after me and come down toward this ditch, and that would have been a bad situation. That bat chat would have probably made pretty quick work of me. My reload's pretty slow, my accuracy's pretty slow, my traverses are really slow. That bat chat would have just zoomed around me and cut me down. Didn't want that to happen, so again, that's part of kind of maintaining the support of the allies, right? Let's say I had another ally over there, would have been more comfortable with him coming down after me. I would have been probably more comfortable with becoming spotted and picking that fight with him, if you will. As I wanted to stay down low and stay protected. By this time, I'm realizing that, yeah, I need to go ahead and get up here in this capture point. I'd realized that kind of shortly before coming up out of there and zooming this direction. But yeah, you can kind of see, I think it's that British black tank, heavy tank down there on our capture point. They have one, we have two, and now we have three with me getting on there on the enemy capture point. They have one, it's that black tank British heavy, and then that light tank on the enemy team is just getting there that we could kind of observe there at J7. And I'm okay with kind of being here, letting this match carry out where there's the capture point, capture for us. I'm okay with doing this, guys. This vehicle is not one of the strongest vehicles that I've ever played for a medium. And for its limited armor, it's relatively immobile, in particular on the traverses and on the accelerations. The terrain resistance might be poor or average. Your rate of fire is pretty low. Your round velocity is low, which makes the long range shooting tough. Your aiming times and your accuracies are all pretty poor, relatively speaking. I'm okay with getting the capture point here. Anyway, if you have any thoughts, any ideas of how I could have done better, leave some constructive comments for sure. I'm interested in taking a look. Otherwise, guys, just thanks for taking a look at this video, and thanks for playing World of Tanks.